With them leather shorts?
Nah, with your knees, bro.
Why you worried about my knees?
You could have been a hooper.
No, we couldn't.
Got a hooper body.
I could have been a hooper. I was sweet. I was defensive lockdown. I was DN3 guy.
A defensive lockdown? I don't know about that.
My lateral movement.
I don't know about that.
My lateral movement.
You do got loose hips, though.
Yeah, I got loose hips.
Yeah, you got loose hips.
You do not have loose hips.
What's up, brother?
What's up, baby?
You good, bro?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's up, dog? What's up, man? You got it?
Let's get it going. Let's have
I don't think you can lock him down.
Let's get it.
Huh?
I don't think you could have locked him down. What day?
Rock these? You can pull these off?
No, the shorts?
No. My little man been the fell out of them.
Not with your mamas.
Hey, PG, he lying though, man. We went to the Savannah Bananas, right down in Savannah. He pop out with some pink shorts, leopard stripe, or leopard print. Leopards don't have stripes. Leopard spotted.
Leopard spotted shorts.
So you went full for it, huh?
Yeah, man, I had to show out for him. We was in Savannah with that party animals and all them. Yeah, I had to get them right.
You know how you take like thawed out chicken breast meat out the freezer? That's what his thighs
That's
look
what they look like?
Man,
You
no
all
more.
upside.
Yeah, I just want to roast me.
It's a lot of atrophy, dog. He got a lot of atrophy.
I don't got to work out no more, and I don't.
I hear that.
Hold up, limitless. Niggas to me, can't pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm finna get me up. On the mission, get me up. Knowing me, I got the key. Only vision I can trust. Limitless. Niggas to me, can't pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant.
Man, PG, man. Welcome to the show, Paul George. This is Channing Crowder. It's Fred Taylor. I'm Ryan Clark, Pivot fam. Thank you for pivoting with us. We got something super dope and special for you today. It's not just one show, it's two shows. It's a combo, it's a collab. Two of the best doing it. Let's get right into it though, PG, man. Like, this offseason was one of the most exciting off seasons of NBA, right? And your name was a huge name involved. And now you get paired with Embiid, you're paired with Tyrese Maxey, and it's championship aspirations right away. The season doesn't go as planned, but you played 41, Maxey 52. You only played in 15 games with Joel Embiid. How frustrating was it to have those expectations and then watch the season unfold the way it did?
It was super frustrating because not only playing with Tyrese, playing with Joel, like we had Caleb Martin, we had Kelly Oubre, like Gershon Yabusele, who just came off an amazing Olympic run. The roster top to bottom, I felt was stacked with talent, aside from the two mega stars in Tyrese and Joel. And the frustrating part is that we had all of this and we just couldn't just get on the floor together. Like, we couldn't stay healthy. We couldn't get healthy. Credit the big fella for giving us everything he had, but it was days where he was hurting, but he was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to, push it. I'm gonna try to get on the floor with y'all. And, it was just very challenging. We'll practice, and, it's hard to toe that line of practice, be prepared, get ready, and then the following day have a game. So sometimes it was big fellas, he'll try to push through the practice. That practice, he's, got a little sore, and then we go into the game and now he's not available. So it was a lot to kind of balance. But I credit the locker room, man. I think through all the tough, times that we had, man, we just stuck together and was like, just try to make the most out of this.
PG, man, we see it through the media, but you brought up the locker room. What's that like in the locker room when you're looking at all that talent? You bring up all those names, Tyrese, Caleb, everybody, Oubre. But y'all sitting down next to the locker and it's like, big dog, I can't go tonight. I can't go tomorrow night. I can't go next week. Like, damn, how we gonna win? What's those conversations like with all that talent sitting in one locker room, knowing that bruh got flippers on and we got to start, flip-flops on and we got to start in 10?
Yeah, it was, in that situation, you felt for the big fella. Because, again, he would come in there, he want to play, he want to give us something on the floor. But then I've dealt with stuff popping up and being hurt, and I know what that feeling is like. And I can only imagine you 7 foot, 270, 280, like you walking around, you carrying that size, and how he plays so physical. I can only put myself in his shoes and understand like how he felt on those days. But, you know, I came here to play with him. You know what I mean? I came to Philly to play with him. Damn, big fella out tonight. Like, all right, like how we gonna figure this one out? Now going into the game, you know, big fella's unavailable right now. So now we gotta kind of, you know, pivot from how we gonna play tonight now. We were always kind of scrambling, I think, trying to figure out, all right, this is how we gotta play tonight. This is how, you know, we're gonna run through this, we're gonna run through that now. We're gonna change the plays. We're gonna, you know, all right, Tyrese, we need more from you tonight. P, we need more from you tonight. Like it kind of just turned into that throughout the season of how can we make up for the big fella not being out there tonight.
Yeah, scrambling, what comes to mind for me is chaos. Like things just all over the place, right? And in sports, and we've all been there, the one thing that gets you close to championship quality, you have to have that cohesion, right? You have to have, the culture got to be right. You have to be able to control the controllables. Injuries happen, right? But leadership is always one of those things that kind of just jump out. Or in your locker room, what's that hierarchy, right, in leadership? Like who steps up and say, all right, this is what we got to do. This guy's down, we got to be the voice and we got to continue to push through to get the best out of the guys that are available.
The hierarchy, I think a lot of people often think the best player has to take that role every time. I think for our locker room, Kyle Lowry stepped up and was the voice every single day. Listen, this is what it is today. This is who we are right here, right now. We got to go out there and we got to control what we can control. I thought he did a great job of that. You know, when we had Caleb Martin come from a program in Miami where it's hard-nosed, you know what I mean? And so he brought a culture that he was built on into our locker room when we had him. You know, myself, I would chime in, Kelly Oubre would chime in, Tyrese Maxey would chime in, being, you know, there the longest that was playing. And then Big Fella, when he was available, you know, he would chime in. So it was kind of a collective group, but I think we just didn't have enough time together because, you know, I'm new here. I don't know the land of what's going on here. Joel, he wants to say stuff and he wants to, but I think he was thinking from a view of like, man, I'm not playing, so like, I don't know how these new guys is gonna take all of this in. You know, Kyle coming in, he's won a championship, so he knows what a locker room, a culture looks like. You know, it was just, I think so many voices all wanting to say the same thing and get the same thing out of it, but mind you, I mean, like we, outside of Joel, Tyrese, and Kyle, you know, everybody else was fairly new. Like, and Kelly Oubre, he was there with them as well, but everybody else in that locker room was new. So, you know, we knew it was gonna take some time for this to get figured out. So I think we were, you know, we were optimistic. We want to be a championship contending team, but at the same time, it's like, man, we ain't ready. Right. You got to go through some shit to kind of really, to your point, that cohesion, like to be cohesive with one another. You got to go through some shit to kind of mend together. And I just think, you know, it was a bit rushed for us to say that we want to be championship contenders here.
Yeah. Well, you know, that comes with big contracts and big talent. You know, that's so different from the game of football. Even as it changes, you know, we don't hear in football 4 years, 200+ million unless you throw the football, right? That's the only time you get that. So there's that pressure. Then we've seen you be at the height of your game. We've seen Joel do that. We've seen Tyrese Maxey do that. And our eyes don't deceive us. This is championship level individual players. Cohesively, they should be able to win. I want to talk a little bit, though, about pressure as a basketball player. It's different, right? There's no helmet. And so people see your face. You become these brands and these stars. I mean, it's Palmdale to Fresno to Indiana to OKC. And even though you're in LA, you're not a Laker. Right? So it was never really, okay, this is the big show. Right. Philly, the 76ers are part of the big show. And the fans are a breed of fans that live, eat, and breathe their sporting teams. How much pressure did you guys feel from the outside to fight through injury? Did you feel from the outside to try to go win basketball games? How did that play in to the way y'all were trying to move and deal with some of the injuries?
Absolutely. Man, to your point of I've always been in, LA obviously is not the small market, but being on the smaller of the two teams in LA from fan base and all of that standpoint, I've never played on the caliber of what Philadelphia fan base is with the intensity that they have. So it was, it was pressure, but I always looked at it as like, that's the pressure you want as an athlete. Like, you want motherfuckers rooting for you. You want them to call you out. You want them to, like, I can walk on the streets. Just the other day, I'm walking on the street with my wife, and I had worked out that morning. And I'm walking on the streets, a nice day, finally in Philadelphia. I'm walking. Dude, like, hey, motherfucker, you should be walking on the court, not out here. I'm like, damn if I do, damn if I don't situation. But, to that point, every time I suited up, it was like, man, I want to play for this city. Like, I know what it'll feel like if we won here. It just sucked because I had so much shit popping up, from injuries to, dealing with the fires back home. And my house is in the thick of that. Family situations and shit going on that I had to kind of man up on. It was just so much shit pulling me that it was hard to kind of be all in focused on certain nights. But 100%, man, the pressure is real in Philadelphia, but it's the good pressure. And it's like, I look forward to playing in Philadelphia because
when you were in the bubble, you said I forget what game it was, I think you hit like 8 threes. And then in that game, you talked about the previous games in that series. You were dealing with some anxiety, some depression. And listening to you talk about everything you dealt with this season, both on and off the court, how did you manage that? How did you manage the emotion, the feelings? Or how did you push anxiety away? How did you push depression away? Because that spotlight can get extremely bright.
Dealing with what went on in the bubble, I kind of just had the mindset to just be in the moment. I'm a overthinker, super overthinker, and I play out situations that probably never will happen, but that's just how my mind worked. And I just had to continue to tell myself to stay in the moment, because again, it's one thing when you're all over the place, you're thinking about shit that probably won't happen and shit that don't matter or mean anything, and you take that onto the court, and now you're just not there. You know what I mean? You worried about other shit. And then, my body wasn't 100% to begin with. And so now you're in your mind, you're thinking you can do something, and physically it's just like, man, you can't do that right now. So is that playing on you? But to your point, man, it was just more so I just had to try to stay in the moment and just focus on what I could focus on, and let everything else, man, kind of take care of itself. I was in a new situation, new team. I was trying to get, close, relationships built with the guys there, because I plan on being there for the long haul. You know what I mean? I don't, this is my last journey. This is my last stop. So I'm all in on building relationships there. So that's kind of what just my focus was, man. Just focus on these guys in this locker room.
I'm a Miami dude, Heat fan. And I watched Jimmy Butler try to get out of Miami. He went and stood in the corner for 3 quarters.
Yeah.
And I watched him stand in that goddamn corner for 3 quarters.
Yeah.
And I might have bet on that game, and I was hot.
So it's personal.
It was personal because I had to do more pockets as well. But that thing, even the playoff P thing, and it's really a switch.
Yeah.
It's that switch, turning that switch on. Where what would you say to the people that talk about NBA players like that? Like, he ain't playing hard tonight. He ain't doing, he gonna get to the playoffs and nut up. Or he gonna get to the playoffs and show out. Because this dude's that get in the playoffs, and I'd be like, where were you at for 82? What are you playing like that for now? Like that switch, turning that switch on off. What's your opinion of that? Because I think that's a big criticism of the NBA.
Yeah. You're 100% right. And I don't want to say this to knock the league, because, we making good money in the league, in the NBA. But 82 games is taxing sometimes, where it gets to a point where you on your 5th game in 6, 7 nights, and that 5th game is just like, man, how do I get through this one? And mind you, in certain situations, like people dealing with shit going on at home, you might get into it with your spouse or Just variables that happen that like you can't control, but now you got to take that with you, with not sleeping, getting in late, playing your 5th game on 7th, 8th night. So that, you might be a little flat that night. So I think it just naturally happens. I don't think guys go out there and like, man, I'm a chill tonight. We don't have that mindset. But it just pan out sometimes where like, man, I'm just exhausted tonight. Like, I need somebody to carry me. It been games, and that was one of the reasons why I love playing with Russ. Shout out Russ. It was nights where I'm like, man, I'm a little flat. But then I look over here, Russ is 100%, full-fledged, he going. All right, shit, that's what I needed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I shout out those guys that when you can get those kind of guys, the Pat Bevs, the Russell Westbrooks, when you can get those energetic guys on your team, they're huge. They're huge for the program.
Going back to what RC started, talking about mental health and depression, in the bubble, you talked about those dark moments, being isolated. And I believe strongly that our platforms can help other people, especially coming from, famous people, celebrities, superstar players. Fatherhood and fame and your kids, did that allow you to become more vulnerable, where you're able to share those things that you've gone through in hopes that it can help other people?
Nah, I didn't think about it from that point of view. I think it was just me being honest with myself. And it was the first time I felt this way, you know what I mean? And it was like, man, I don't know who to talk to, who to turn to. I was holding on to it because I'm like, man, if I talk about this shit now, it's an excuse. Like, people gonna look at this like, man, he trying to opt out, he copping out on us.
Right.
But to be honest, it was just like, man, I don't know what to do here. You know what I mean? We got games. We seen the opponents after we playing. We might get into them during the game, hit the elevator, boom, there he is. Y'all go ahead and go, man. I'm gonna get the next one. And then so and then before all of that, they sold us a dream. We'll have this, that, we'll be able to tour the park. So we like, cool, at least we ain't tied to just being in one space.
Right.
Then we get there, we tied to one space. And so that was just, I didn't know what to do. I didn't fish as much as I could have fished there. I didn't play golf as much as I could play golf there. Now what? Like, now what could I do? And so it was more so just me just putting my hands up and saying, man, I'm like, help. Somebody help me. And that kind of just was the situation there.
He brought up Jimmy Butler, and a fan brought up Jimmy Butler this season. We don't have All-Star break. We also don't have NBA money, right? So the thought of being like, I'm going to go to St. Bart's while the All-Star game, that don't happen for us, right? But that's common in your game, right? Players, when they are not playing in All-Star weekend or participating, they get an opportunity to get away from ball. You do that, you get away with your lovely wife, and the Philadelphia fans and the people are ridiculing you for the pictures that are posted. One fan said, if this was Jimmy Butler, he'd have us huddled up like Full Metal Jacket. What do you say to people who want, like the man walking down the street, you need to be walking on the court. What do you say to people who want athletes or NBA players in particular to not have a life unless they're winning or unless basketball's going as the fans think it should go?
Yeah, I mean, that part always gets me. Because, now I'm getting into golf, and I like to play as much as I can. And, me posting golf stuff, people got something to say. Like, you should be in the gym. Why you not working on your game? Why you not? I did that. Like, I'm doing this now because I did that earlier. You know what I mean? I think people don't understand that, like, you can't physically be in the gym 24 hours out of the day. Like, we gotta have a life too. You know what I mean? Like, y'all don't work, not y'all, but fans, like whatever y'all job is, y'all don't work 24 hours out of the day. Y'all have leisure time. Y'all have things y'all like to do. Y'all got hobbies. How you gonna ridicule me? I'm in the 1 percentile of my work. You know what I mean? And I've showed you I work hard. Obviously, if I've made it to this point, now why can't I have a life aside from my job now? You know what I mean? So that always gets me when, people ask that question or make that comparison. Like, you know what I mean? Jordan golfs. And he the best motherfucker in the world. Like,
Yeah.
he had a hobby outside of basketball. Like,
Right.
and we know how hard he worked. We know
Right.
what, you know what I mean? The time he dedicated to his craft.
Right.
I'm not comparing myself to Jordan or
I know
saying
what
I'm
you're
on that
saying, though.
stature, but like, shit, everybody got, shit to do that, outside of what their profession is. So, to that point, man, I see those comments, and I just, I try to just push through it.
Like when I would comment back, you'd be like, RC, why are you talking to these people?
Talking to John 17:4-5 in his daddy's basement.
You know what it is, though? I don't pay it no mind. You know what it is? It's more so my wife. My wife will be like, look what, man, don't pay them no mind. Like, so I hear it more from my wife than me searching and looking for that.
Yeah, and it's what all you've done, bro. You were a monster. He said your resume. What do you need affirmation anymore? Do you need to worry about any of that? Like, why does it? We talk about it all the time. Why does it get to you? Why does it get to your wife? Why does it get to hell with them?
It don't get to me. It don't get to me. Like, other than winning a championship, like, and obviously wanting to win an MVP, like I didn't. Like, I like where my career is going. Like, I'm thinking about it the other day. Like, had there not been a LeBron James, shit, I might have had one. You know what I mean? Had we not played LeBron James or there was no LeBron James, we might have had one in Indiana. You know what I mean? I felt the guy on the East. I felt like I was, we played Carmelo. Got Carmelo out of there. Shout out, Mel. Played a tough Wizards with John and Bradley Beal. Nobody could come through us. Atlanta was a stacked team. Nobody could go through us. And, that was that. I got to Oklahoma. I dealt with injuries, tried to play through those. It was just unfortunate. I had these injuries. I had the partial meniscus. I had the shoulder tears. People want to talk about your performance in the playoffs in Oklahoma. Motherfuckers don't know, man. I watch games now. Cats are hurt. Cool, they play through it. Cool, they production level drops. Nobody says anything about that. Y'all know how the Toradol work. I was taking Toradol during those Oklahoma series. Yeah. Once that shit wore off, production dropped. Like, but I'm gonna give you what I got. Mm-hmm. People want to talk about that. Same shit with in the Portland series. Now, shout out Dame, right? People
crazy.
Make fun of the comment I said about Dame. Hindsight, I was mad. Like, you're damn right I was mad. You know what I mean? But people don't know going into that. I ain't played basketball for like a week and a half, 2 weeks almost going into that series because of my shoulders, right? So I fly to LA, get injected with Toradol, the PRP shit. Try to help me get to the playoffs. So I didn't play or pick up a ball. I didn't touch a ball for like 2 weeks going into that series. Play that series. I started to play well. The medicine's working. I'm mad. I done did all this shit. Now we done? What you mean? Dame shooting that shot. Yeah, I was mad at the moment, but like I should have respected the moment of like him being like, that's his greatness. I should have respected his greatness. In my mind, it was a bad shot just because of you had 10 seconds. Sidestep, and that's the shot you take. That's like giving Tom Brady the ball on the opponent 20, 15 seconds to go, and he nil it. Yeah. Like, damn, Tom, you ain't gonna at least go for it? Like, you ain't, you know what I mean? You ain't gonna try to get closer?
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, and that moment crushed me because, like, people that don't know me, they view me as, oh, he's a hater, he's this. Like, nah, like, I respect Dame. I don't got no problem with Dame. The shot showed his greatness. I was just more so, I felt he had time. Like, in basketball world, it was a bad shot because I felt he could have really isolated me and got closer to the basket or something. So that bothered me. But other than that, man, I feel like, my career has gone as I wanted it to go. Like, I've had a great career. My story is still being written. I don't have no regrets other than, obviously playing for a championship. But other than that, man, I feel fine with where I'm at.
Yeah, keep grinding. You never know what'll happen, man. You're in a good place.
Chan, last few weeks been chaotic, fam. I'm tired, boss.
Man, you talking about chaos. What is it? F1 in Miami to Savannah Bananas. Now we up in New York. We running around. Man, we got to ship stuff, and ShipStation is off the chain because they have all the global carriers for us. Man, I'm telling you, I don't know if we could do this without ShipStation.
Chan, bro, life in general can be chaotic, especially when we're in charge of shipping our own merch and e-com. Gets crazy sometimes.
But you're right, Freddie T. ShipStation allows us to focus on the content, keep the main thing. And now when we're shipping stuff for brand merchandising, we go to ShipStation and we could do what we do.
Man, it was wild watching them over the weekend. Our team, click one button, get the label, ship it out, and ShipStation does it all for you. It is simple, it's easy, and it's efficient.
Bro, you're right. ShipStation is absolutely amazing. Over 130,000 companies have grown their online business with it.
Listen, you can calm the chaos of order fulfillment with a shipping software that delivers. They need to switch to ShipStation right now.
And all you have to do is go to shipstation.com/pivot, sign up now for your free trial.
That's shipstation.com/pivot.
Now, back to the show with PG-13.
But pressured moments. I'm gonna go back, you was talking about golf. Would you feel more pressure shooting a free throw in the playoffs in front of 18 or 20,000 people, or 10 off in front of the GOAT, Tiger Woods, like you did the other day?
That tee off in front of Tiger, that whole day that ball was going here, there, short. Man, I think I said it in the video, man, aura. Like I just felt the aura. And that motherfucker went right about 5 yards short of the pin. But that was for sure nerve-wracking. And I'm not good enough to be like put too much into golf. Like I'm not that good yet.
Right.
So just period. Like if I hit it close to the pin, cool. If I don't, cool. I'm here to have fun and learn. But that moment, it was just Tiger there, Ricky Fowler there, they waiting. You know, and the whole time I'm like, man, just don't fuck this up. And I was just fortunate. But shooting a free throw, like I had done that my whole life.
Right.
Yeah, that's what you do.
You think about that, you know, when the gym is empty, you mind training yourself to be in those situations to shoot with 20,000 people screaming against you. Like, so that part don't bother me.
You know, the basketball is such an individual sport. I think it was Brandon Williams gets to the league and he's talking about GOATs and he's saying Paul George. You know, like when we talked, when you first walked in, you was like, what's up, OG? Shoot, you the OG, especially in what you do, right? It's LeBron has tricked people to think that you're supposed to play it for 2 decades at a high level. It's actually not true, right? It's difficult to do that. I mean, shoot, Melo's own son is like, yeah, like I like PG, right? Juju says the same thing. What is, for you, you talk about winning a championship, you know, that's something you want to do. You talked about having to go through LeBron or maybe one day, you know, or the goals of winning MVP. What will be success for you within your career? What will you qualify as, I did what I was supposed to do with my opportunity?
I think for me, like when you think of the next generation, guys coming after you, like I inspired a next generation. Like for me, that's a win. Like I come from a small town, built on just working hard to get to the league. I wasn't like, I'm not supposed to be here. There was a ton of dudes in my small city that were good, but nobody came to Palmdale. Nobody, like that wasn't a place that you saw talent and potential. So to come from there, the influence that city had on me, I tell people all the time, my brother-in-law was the inspiration, was the influence for me to get to where I'm at. For people to see my game now and to be like, man, I like the way he played. I like how he approached the game. I like how smooth he is. Like all of that came from my hometown.
Yeah.
So that's a win on its own. Obviously, like, of course you want to win a championship and you want your legacy to be on a champion level, but like that, I've been okay with like that ain't for everybody. There's greats that's been before me that ain't won, you know, and You know, they still inspire. Like you think of AI, how much he's influenced and inspired the game. And he ain't won a championship, but people love him for what he meant to basketball. So, you know, if I had that effect on one player, I've done my job. I've been able to play, hopefully, when I'm done, 18, 19 years in the league. That's amazing for someone coming from, like, you would have told that kid 10, 11 years old that you'll play 18, 19 years in the league. Nobody would believe that. So that's a win in itself. And I'm not for the cliche shit, but like, for me, my family, getting my parents where they're at, getting my dad who worked, you know, job after job after job to where he can, my pops drive a Ferrari. I ain't flexing or none of that shit, but like, I get to put my dad, I'm not saying that, I'm not saying that to flex.
No, I get it.
Not whatsoever, but we come from small, humble beginnings, and to see my dad drive a Ferrari, live on a gated community, on a lake where he can fish every day. I won. I can say my parents they don't gotta touch nothing, they don't gotta move a muscle. Pops get to enjoy his life. Moms get to enjoy her life. I won.
Paul and Pauletta are good for sure, but when did or have you stopped feeling like the underdog, right? Where you played in Palmdale, it's not like playing in the city, right? People don't go there. You got to go to Fresno State. You know, you're the 10th pick. When you started the ball in Indiana, people became such a fan because it wasn't supposed to be happening like that. That guy wasn't supposed to be doing this against the big three, right? But eventually we started looking at you like it's an expectation. How did you switch your mindset from being the underdog that wasn't supposed to make it to being expected to be one of the best players in the world and eventually get a ring?
Yeah, I set that expectation on myself early. And I spoke about this a little bit on my pod where when I first got to Indiana, I told the whole locker room, give me 2 years, I'm gonna be an all-star. Locker room fell out laughing. All right, like, okay, cool. And from that moment on, I had it in my mind that I'm gonna be the best offensive player on this team, and I'm gonna be the best defensive player on this team. And that's just how I carried myself. Kobe being my idol, somebody I looked up to. I wanted to kind of pave the way that the way he approached the game, that's how I want to approach the game. And so when I started working and getting better, and I started to see what the work did, all right, now that I started out as a role player, now I'm getting touches, cool. Now I'm getting more attempts, cool. Danny go down, now I'm the man, cool. Now that's the expectation. I didn't work my way to get to this point. This is where I want to be. This is where I saw myself. I tell young kids all the time, like, for you to get to the level that you want to get to, you got to see yourself at that level. Like, you got to know what it is already to feel like a all-star, to feel like a superstar. It can't just happen overnight. You can work as hard as you want, but if you don't envision yourself being a star, you're not going to get there. So I envisioned being a star. When I got in the league, it wasn't like, oh, cool, I'm drafted, like, cool. Nah, when I envisioned being an all-star, like, being in the league didn't mean shit. Like, I want to be one of the best. I want to be in that top tier. So that expectation was set on myself before I got to the league. I just wanted to work my way to get to that point where I could control what I could control. It's tough in a way of, because for one, you gotta want to get to that point. But then when everybody expect it, now it's like, shit.
Yeah.
What did I sign up for? I was playing this shit just for the love. Now what did I sign up for? But again, it goes back to that pressure that you want.
Yeah.
It's role players and it's the guys that want that pressure to be the best out there.
No doubt.
And PG, we doing the crossover. You bring up your podcast P, and I've watched it. I'm a fan, so I watched it a number of times. You say all the time that you want to kind of clarify who you are to people. Like, what are some of them false narratives or some of those, things that people don't know about you, or, that you want to bring them back with your story. That's how you say it. That's exactly how you say it. I want to tell my own story. What were some of them false narratives that you wanted to give clarity on?
I mean, just everything, man. To be honest, like a lot of the stories that going on in the league that, I make excuses or I copped out of Indiana or I copped out of Oklahoma. Like, none of that shit. Like, I wanted to be in Indy. That didn't work out. Oklahoma, I wanted to be in Oklahoma. It wasn't up to me. People don't know it wasn't up to me. I thought I signed there, be here 4 years. Let's just say what it is. Obviously, Russ been in Oklahoma for, 10 plus years at this time. That's his home. I understand when it's time to up and leave. Like, you want to go see something else. You want to be somewhere else. That got back to me. Russ want to leave. I'm not about to stay in Oklahoma by myself. You know what I mean? Like, but people think that I'm the one that originated to get out and blow that team up. Like, nah, I'm not gonna stay in Oklahoma by myself. Like, Russ wanna go, that's cool. Like, I have no problem with that. But now I'm gonna try to figure out what's best for me in this situation.
Wow.
So that's how I got out of Oklahoma. And I just think, I spoke on the injuries. People think that, like, oh, it's production. He don't perform in the playoffs. Like, when have I not performed? Only time I haven't performed is when I just physically wasn't capable, but I tried to give my team everything I had. That situation, the Dame situation, people think, oh, he's salty, he's this. Yeah, I'm grown enough to admit.
Salty.
I was mad. Like, I'm man enough to admit that I was mad, but I should have first said, shout out and congratulated Dame for his greatness on that play and that shot. And then gave my opinion on what I thought that shot was. The bubble situation. People, oh, he this, he that. He hit the side of the backboard. I done seen plenty of motherfuckers hit the side of the backboard. You know what I mean? The greats have done that. Wow. I just think everybody, for whatever reason, I was a scapegoat on a lot of situations that, like, people don't really understand. My point of view. That's why the whole podcast that I wanted to do was kind of to clarify and speak my mind and give my opinions and hear it straight from the source. But I think a lot of stuff people just misunderstood about me.
Speak about family dynamics and just maturing through all of the noise and the bullshit out there, being able to go home in your safe space, knowing that these are the people who truly love me.
Family is the only thing that matters. The older I get, the more I understand that. Again, I was that person, to Channon's point, of listening to the noise, whether it's social media, whether it's ESPN, whether it's, First Take. My parents, if you let them, they'll keep ESPN on all day. All day. They'll watch the same
The reruns too?
like it's something that they missed.
Can't be First Take. It's 11 o'clock.
It's got to be the last take.
So I grew up, that was always like, even as a kid, I always would hear was the news around sports. And so when I, got to be in the league and be on the conversations every day, like, that used to weigh on me, the opinions of others. But then, as I got older, only thing that mattered, man, is my circle, my family. I keep a small group of friends. I'm not out, I don't go to the clubs. I'm not out, with people just because I know them. If I don't know you, ain't no point of us, kind of kicking it or hanging out. So I just keep a small circle and just keep to myself. So to your point, Fred, it's more so about, my family, and that's the only thing that matters.
Right.
Man, this is a personal question that I got to know. Y'all can cut it out if y'all want to. Can you 100% tell me that Kawhi Leonard is a human being? Like 100% in your heart. 100% in your heart, tell me Kawhi Leonard was born like us, lived on planet Earth, and is still on planet Earth 365 days a year.
Nah, man, Kawhi is he one of them ones, man. You think about how Bron, you don't hear no cousins that come out and say, I know Bron, or, Bron one of them ones, man. We don't know how Bron came about. I don't know how Kawhi came about. Shout out his family, though. I love his family, but, man, he one of them ones, man. They just wired differently. They wired differently. But as far as a human being, one of the best people that you can ever, rock with, as far as just loyal, down to earth, funny. He talked way more than funny as hell. Like,
Got funny laugh. I heard it once.
Yeah.
He tells jokes.
He like probably I ain't gonna lie. He on a level of like comedian.
No.
I swear to you.
Ain't no way.
I swear to you.
He don't talk enough.
He hit
To
shots.
you. You think he don't.
He hit shots, big shots, and he yells, celebrate, celebrate, celebrate. Bro, I love his game. I watch this man.
When you know Kawhi, he just as normal and like enthusiastic, charisma, funny, down to earth. He talks shit. He, make jokes. Like, he just as normal as anybody. I'm telling you, if you sat with him, you'd be like, oh, this motherfucker funnier than I thought. Like,
Is it some sort of like social anxiety or something that he possibly?
I think so. I think it's more so that he don't like,
New people.
as do people, you know what I mean? Like, and that's cool. Some people don't like being in big social environments. Some people don't like being the talker, the first person to speak. Some people, that's not their, they get up. That's not how they wired.
I say that about Ricky Williams. Well, sitting in the locker room, us
Yeah.
talking, taking over the conversation. Going to a restaurant, you could watch him. Back when he was younger, you'll watch him kind of just melt into the floor where you're like, damn, Rick, you good? But and he came out with the social anxiety stuff and all that stuff. So that's right back to the mental health.
And to that point, you've mentioned numerous amounts of players throughout this interview. Like, who are some of your favorite teammates? Like, you good with all your old teammates back in LA and everywhere you've been?
Yeah. I've been super blessed, super fortunate to play with some of, the best to ever play. But, to start my career at my age playing with David West, Roy Hibbert. David West, one of my all-time.
David West is one of the meanest basketball players that's ever played.
He is mean.
Like, he's like, I'm gonna be honest now, when I watch basketball games, most times I'm like, yeah, he's like a whole foot taller than me, but like I put him to sleep. Like David West, I was like, if I run up against David West in the club and step on his shoes, I'm gonna be like, sorry, Mr. West, I apologize. Yeah, let me wipe that off for you, dog.
You talk about somebody that ain't human.
David West.
That him right there, not human. Yeah, you talk about somebody that's not human. I didn't just talking with him. He wrestled in MMA motherfuckers in the summer.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
I do basketball and weight training to get prepared for the season. This motherfucker say, I box. I'm in the ring with him. God damn. So that, to talk about like one of my favorites, David West, Roy Hibbert, G. Hill, Russ, obviously, Kawhi, obviously, Steven Adams, Lance Stevenson, all of these dudes played a huge, Lou Will, Pat Bev, all of these dudes, if I'm missing people, is Raymond Felton, all of these dudes had impacts and influence on me. I again, I'm not the person that, I keep a relationship when I see you, cool, we pick up right where we left off, but I kind of keep to myself. I just know, like, I've had friendships, personal relationships with guys. It's one way, you get on the court, and I understand competing. Like, I know how to cut that on and turn it off, but then it's one thing, you build a relationship, then you get on the court and you start saying, wow, shit.
Yeah.
Damn, like, you always felt this way? You know what I mean? Like, and so I understood, like, all right, certain people, I'ma just, because my feelings was hurt. Like, you hurt my feelings with that, you know what I mean? I thought we was tighter than what we was, and then we get between these lines and certain words is thrown out there that I didn't expect that from you.
Have you ever had that conversation though? I think, have you ever told someone who you felt like you had that sort of relationship with, and once you got on the court, that changed? Have you ever like checked that? Because I'm a very like, I need to know.
Yeah.
Like I'm a clarity person. Like I don't necessarily care what you do as much as I care to know why you did it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Have you ever had to have a conversation of like, hey man, I thought we was better than that. Like what was that about?
Nah, for me it's like, cause again, I don't throw those words out there. Like I don't ever, all the shit that's going on, the moments, the pushing, the shoving, the confrontations on court always came from the other person, and I just respond naturally. So I've never thrown words out there. I don't use those words to talk about another man or to try to get in another man's head. Like my game's gonna speak for it. I don't have to try to play games with you. And again, the CP situation everybody knows about. I was talking to CP, like CP the reason I got LASIK. I was having trouble seeing. We under the same agency with CAA. I'm talking to CP, like, you know, and I would work out with CP in the summers. You know, we part of the reason Donovan Mitchell is in the league.
Yeah.
Obviously he was gonna be in the league before, but we kind of stamped like, bro, you need to come out. We were working with him, we were working out together. And it was a brotherhood that I thought was with CP. Again, bring up I was talking to him about the eye doctor. He put the stamp on him. Cool, got it done with the same doctor. And then we get into the series and the words get thrown out there. Hold on, like, what? Where this come from? So like, and that's just, again, I don't like talking about the situation. We had a moment this year where, we started mouthing off and words thrown out there again. It is what it is. It's up every time I see him. It is what it is at this point. But those situations, I don't understand where some of it come from sometimes.
You watch the playoffs now, and I don't know what it is, what it feels like for an NBA player, but I know for me, it's obviously a shorter period. Like I would just be seething at home, wishing that I had an opportunity to play, and going back through everything about the reasons why I'm not. When you watch a series like the Clippers Nuggets, and you mentioned some of those people you play with, Kawhi Leonard and Russ is on, the other team, and you see Russ finish the way he did, but also somebody like Harden struggled. He gets a lot of some of the things people will point at you. Harden doesn't show up in this moment. When you look at some of those things, how do you evaluate what some of the superstars are going through right now in the playoffs?
James is my guy, obviously, and I know what James, he puts a lot into his craft. And I think his, the production drops or divots from time to time. I think when you're a player of his caliber, like one of the things he does everything so well, I think on some nights, he don't know if he should be the scorer. He don't know if he should be the playmaker, And I think at times I'm gonna come out and I'm gonna be aggressive offensively to score. That James is a hell of a James. Some nights he might come out and you think he flat, but he has the mindset of, I'm gonna be the facilitator. I'm gonna get guys shots. I'm gonna get guys open. I'm gonna make the game easy for everyone else. And then, you kind of lose. I've been, on the side of this sometimes where I'm being so passive that I forget, how to be aggressive within the game. And I lose, sight of being aggressive in the game because I'm thinking, I'm gonna get this guy easy look. I'm gonna get this guy easy look. And so I think, at times, his gift is how good he is. It's often sometimes his curse because he can do so many things. He don't know which one he wants to be or he needs to be for that specific game.
The biggest thing with James is the outside world knows that, right? We hear the Houston stories and different things. The crazy part is for like 82 games, it doesn't seem to really affect him. Game 1 through 6, it may not affect him, but it feels like in game 7, when it does, when you only get up 8 shots, when you have a couple of turnovers, people start to say, okay, what is it about this moment? And as you've mentioned, and as we all know, like the legacy of the greats, the people that are gonna give Hall of Fame speeches like you do, it's the game 7s or it's the playoffs and it's those important moments. How do you show up in those?
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And I'll speak for these guys and say we're all fans.
Oh,
like
for sure.
on some real shit. Love following your career from playoff P to the ups and downs and pandemic P. Love your podcast and everything you're doing. Can't wait for it to redrop. But it brings me to, let's call it a pivot P, right? Your biggest pivot in life. That's that one moment you can look back on and say, without this happening, or if this happened for me, I wouldn't be who I am today.
100% when I broke my leg. That was the most pivotal part of my career, all across the board. You know what I mean? From the team, from the organization, from myself. Like, I had to relearn everything, right? And to pivot with the team, right? When that happened initially, you know, that was the last time I got to play with D West. That was the last time I got to play with Roy Hibbert. Right. That was the last time, you know, I got to play with Lance Stevenson. You know, that summer, you know, that playoff, we had just lost to Miami. Going into that summer, I was about to be on the Olympic team. And I felt like that was the moment. I think we finally figured them out. We took them to a game 7. I think we got them this next season. I'm gonna play on the Olympics. This was a cool experience to get to play against or play with 12, 11 other motherfuckers. Like, I can learn from them, add to my craft, come back. I'm 24 at the time, 25 at the time. Come back as a totally different player with a different mentality, win a gold medal, know what it's like to win. You know what I mean? Kind of bringing that to the team. I know what it's like to win. Break my leg, and one of the saddest moments was going back to Indiana and having to look everybody in the face. I can see, like, it's a waste of a season. I can see it in D West's face. I can see it in Roy Hibbert's face. Like, I can see it in all the guys that I didn't just went to battle with. I can see it in all their face that this season's gonna be a wash. Like, David, I don't got that many years to waste. You know what I mean? I can see that in David West. That hurt. And then, for me, obviously, I lost a little bit of athleticism. From the naked eye, people like, man, you look like you still explosive. You more explosive after injury. I noticed there was some, you know, only stuff that I noticed. So there was that. But on the other end, I gained so much more love and passion for the game once it was taken away from me. That every time, as soon as I return, like, man, I get to play the game I love. I get to enjoy this shit now. Like, it was like the deer that just let them run. In that way, I gained a new passion and a new love for the game. And then from the organization, I think that's where it was starting to crack in a relationship. Because I came back and, you know, Larry made a comment of, Paul doesn't get to make decisions around here. When I wanted to come back as a 3, like, I'm a wing. I'm one of the best two-way players at my position. And I'm just coming back from breaking my leg, and you're gonna tell me I gotta play the 4? Like, I'm playing against, and this is when
it's a different era.
This is when there's still 4 men out there. You know, they're not wings at the 4, it's still ADs and And so I think that's kind of where a fraction started with the organization. And, you know, of course and it's not that I wanted to make decisions, like, I just, you know, I thought I'm coming back to play my position. Right. And so I think that kind of started a rumble within the organization with myself, where, you know, I love Larry. It's not that me and him don't have a good relationship. I love Larry. Larry, you know, took me under his wing, gave me a lot of gems. But it was definitely a pivot from that point forward.
Love it.
See, man, this is why this man got his own show. You feel me? And so now, if you want to catch part 2 of this conversation, we're going to bring out the mic. He's going to pivot to the host, and we'll be on Podcast P.
Hold up, limitless. Niggas to me, can't pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Get my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, get me up. On the mission, get me up. Knowing me, I got the key. On the vision, I can trust. Limitless. Niggas to me, can't pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Get my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, get me up.